Will I be scarred? She asked, nervously. Goosefeather shook his head. The fur on your nose is just singed, he reassured her. It'll grow back in a moon. Then why were his eyes glittering with worry? Maybe I'm imagining it. Suddenly, Goosefeather leaned closer. Like fire, you will blaze through the forest, he hissed. What? Bluepaw flinched away. Had he gone mad? The burning branch was a sign from Starclan. His eyes glittered. You are fire, Bluepaw, and you will blaze through the forest. Alarmed, Bluepaw backed away. What was he talking about? But beware! She stiffened. Even the most powerful flames can be destroyed by water. What do you mean? I'm telling you what the burning branch meant, he growled. Spencer Grant, and you're listening to Fourtrees, a Warrior Cats community podcast. I'm here today with Silverleaf, the Lizard Wizard, who is talking about Bluestar's prophecy with me. Have you ever read this book, my dude?
I have actually read this book, both over the past couple days, and I actually read it years ago, back closer to when it first came out.
All right, that makes sense. I have a similar history, I would say. How do you feel about this book now, having read it as a grown-up human being?
Oh boy, does this go a lot harder on the ironic comeuppance than I thought when I was a child.
Oh, definitely.
It also has a lot of punishment for having kids, which is a theme that I noticed over the entire book.
I mean, how do you feel about that personally? Do you want to be punished for having kids?
I don't want to have kids in general, but it seems like a very mixed message because all of the cats are constantly, especially when Bluefur is an adult, they're constantly talking about how, it's not quite your duty, but also kind of your duty to have kids, and that you're missing out if you have kids, which is certainly rhetoric I've heard a lot in my lifetime. Then every single, mother that we see just about is punished for having children.
It is very sad, to see this warrior cat's misogyny take place, isn't it?
It's really depressing.
Yeah.
Because there's nothing wrong with finding fulfillment and having children, but, so many of them die. They either die or their kids die.
All right, before we get into the sad parts about this book, do you want to talk a little bit about what you do and your history with these books?
What I do and what my interests are?
There's got to be a better way for me to phrase that as a human being. I'm sorry, I'm very new to this whole thing. All right, tell me about who you are and what is your interesting, right?
So, I don't know if that's a better way to phrase it, but
I'll figure it out.
I understand the question now.
All right.
So I am currently studying environmental biology. I have a specific interest in ecology, especially plant-level community ecology and soil science.
And how did the Warrior Cats books get you into that realm? Because that's really what we're all about exploring here on Fourtrees.
As a kid, I was very interested in all of the medicine cat information because they go through a lot of herbs and it's implied to be even more than are specifically said. And so I was very interested in okay, where do these herbs grow? How do they, not quite the medicine of it, but the how they would get all of these herbs and the proper amounts to treat cats and stuff like that.
Yeah, stuff that they don't really talk about in the book. That makes sense.
Yeah, unfortunately.
We'll figure it out. They do kind of give us breadcrumbs throughout the entire thing. I have been keeping a running tally for you as we've been going through the first 6 books about these, and I'm sure you have opinions. I'm in fact certain that you have opinions. I'm excited for your opinions. Do you want to get into the book now?
Sure, let's get into the book.
All right, so Bluestar's prophecy begins with this beautiful moment where we're reliving the moment of Bluestar's death from like her perspective, post-arc, where she's this reinvigorated clan leader who has made peace with her fate and slides away into the darkness. And then immediately afterwards, we get this like really great tonal whiplash where she's a kitten with, you know, that Bayardo tier level of sentience that all the kittens seem to have, where they're just like walking around, you know, already knowing stuff and things. It's I don't know, how do you feel about that whenever you get like, this is the first time I guess we've seen the perspective of a cat that's like straight up a kitten and not like an apprentice. So
I mean, I think there's no better like storytelling method than just to accept that the fact that kittens are competent. And I think she's not like just born when this is happening. This doesn't start with her death and then immediately go to her birth.
It was like a few days after her birth, though, wasn't it? It was
yeah, and not all animals are obviously as helpless as humans are. I can buy that cats are like mildly competent.
Back it up. What are you talking about, helpless? I'll have you know, I can deadlift a 400-pound dumbbell in my backyard.
Oh, you could do that as an infant? You could do that as a 2-day-old infant?
I could, in fact, do that as a 2-day-old.
But no, we're talking about 2-day-old infants here.
Yeah, I guess that's a fair point. And animals are probably a little bit better about knowing what to do immediately after they're being born than humans are. I would say I still haven't quite figured out what I'm up to, you know?
Isn't that the mood?
Aside from deadlifting 400-pound dumbbells in my backyard. So after Bluefur after this is a little bit of spoilers for this book. You guys are gonna have to pretend not to have heard that. So after Blue Kit does her, you know, walking around the camp kind of thing, Windclan shows up and they're like, "Hey, what's up? We're Windclan. We're not stealing prey, but like everybody thinks that we are, because like they found a squirrel with some Windclan scent on it." Right? That was the whole instigating moment.
It wasn't even Windclan scent on the squirrel. It was Windclan scent that was in the air around it. So there's Windclan scent vaguely in the area of this squirrel.
Yeah. And Thunderclan is like, this means war. Or rather, Blue Kit's like racist uncle is like, this means war.
So Blue Kit's racist uncle.
That's what he is. So there's Goosefeather, who's like a medicine cat, and Goosefeather is he's got like a Cassandra thing going on, if you've ever read like the Helena Troy stories and stuff, where it's, you know, it's giving out all kinds of prophecies that nobody really believes, but they decide to believe this prophecy. And so when Blue Paw is apprenticed, they're like, all right, let's go to the Windclan and beat the heck out of them. And then they go to Windclan, and Windclan does not really do a good job of losing. The Thunderclan cats do manage to destroy their supply of medicinal herbs, which, by the way, not a very like friendly move to make. I think that was a little bit of a war crime.
Thunderclan commits war crimes.
Thunderclan does commit war crimes
because of the way the hair was parted on a shrew.
It's something else. And then they get their just desserts because Blue Paw's mom is killed. And it's like sad.
And here's instance 1 of someone being punished for having children.
So Blue Paw and the clan bring Moonflower, which is their mom, back to Thunderclan to grieve, to mourn, and to pity. Blue Paw's original mentor retires, and she is now mentored by Sunfall, the deputy. But she is like unable to overcome her grief, and so she starts being really moody towards everybody, and she gets upset that everybody else is like moving on with their lives, including Snowpaw, her sister, who is like, she's just, oh my, her and Thistleclaw, they're just like constantly like making out, or whatever the cat equivalent of making out is. It's really saucy, you guys.
Sharing tongues.
Sharing tongues is like the worst warrior cat's phrase, isn't it?
It's such a weird phrase.
The first time I reread these books as an adult, I had to like look twice because I was sharing tongues. That cannot be what they're calling it, right?
They're you know, the cats just are Frenching constantly.
Yeah, they're Frenching. And so Blue Paw is like trying to make peace with her sort of, I don't know, her life. She decides that she needs to be a good warrior to honor her mom's memory. And she goes to a gathering and meets this Riverclan cat called Crooked Paw. And Crooked Paw is like, he's nice and he's friendly. And Blue Paw's like, whoa, these Riverclan cats aren't all that bad. And then Crooked Paw says something about his brother, whose name is Oakhart. And he never shows up in the book ever again.
God, I wish.
Would that it were so simple. So Riverclan leaves, and then there's the Sunning Rocks fiasco, which is just delightful. This entire book is basically just fighting over Sunning Rocks, the musical. And Blue Paw is, I guess they go do Sunning Rocks for a little while. They become warriors. Blue Fur, which is her name now. I hope you forgot that spoiler I dropped earlier. But Blue Fur notices Pine Star meeting with a kitty pet by the two-leg place. And then also they go to the Moonstone later on. And Blue Fur's like, whoa, what's up with Pine Star? Because he seems really world-weary. And then after another few months, there's more Sunning Rock stuff. Blue Fur's finally gotten another cat to like her, and he's a warrior called Thrushpelt. And then Pine Star's mate Leopardfoot begins giving birth, and Goosefeather is like, yo, that's going to be an evil kitten. And Pine Star is like distant as heck, because he doesn't care about the clan anymore. The kids are born. Blue Fur has a reckoning with some food poisoning, and turns out Pine Star is leaving the clan because he's like, he wants to be a kitty pet. Also, Thistleclaw becomes a warrior because he fights a dog, but that's cool.
I also want to mention with the Blue Fur getting sick, 2 apprentices also get sick, and one of them dies from this. This is another instance of someone being punished for being a mother, with their kit dying instead of them.
Being a mother is against the warrior code. I don't know if you've heard. It's unethical and it should not be allowed.
And Leopardfoot also loses 2 of her children.
That's right.
And the third one is
Tiger Kit. Guess who he grows up to be?
I know I sent you a picture when I was reading through this that was just a screenshot super zoomed in of the word Tiger Kit with the caption, images that precede the rise of fascism.
It's so like not subtle, which I love about these books. Like anytime they try to do something and say something subtly, they always have the narrator like talk about how fishy that thing was.
It's always so ham-fisted. Like there is no shades of gray in like anything like Thistleclaw does or Tiger Kit does. There's nothing. It's all entirely black and white.
They afforded Adderfang, which is Thistleclaw's mentor. They afforded him some nuance because he was like a good dad. And he was like playing with his kittens, and Blue Kit was always like, man, I wish Stormtail played with me like that. And then Adderfang also goes on to be like, a little bit of a jerkhead, but he trains Thistleclaw. So he's a fascist grand mentor, but like also
you can tell exactly how like the cycle of a kit that wants to fight is given a mentor who wants to fight, and you can see how those ideals get magnified through the generations.
It's a feedback loop.
Yeah, Adderfang's like he's got some nuance in him. Like he is definitely a bit more ready to fight than maybe he should be, but like he understands when it's time to back off.
Yeah, and then when we get to Thistle Kit and then Thistlepaw, he's like, what's up? I'm gonna be a fascist straight up. Or he's such a cop. That's my problem with him.
Cop.
He is such a freaking cop. And he's always, just being a real jerk. And I guess that's like, when we get Tiger Kit, who probably wasn't bad like initially, even though I guess Starclan kind of made him out to be bad.
He was like,
that's a free will thing.
He was like Thistle Kit. He was honestly, I think he was more bossy but less violent than Thistlecit until he was encouraged to be more violent.
Yeah, it was kind of messed.
We've gotten away from the plot summary.
Yeah, that's so let's see. Snowfur has her kit. It's White Kit. White Storm, by the way. Good guy. Also, Blue Fur has met Oakhart for, I think, either the second or the first time. I remembered it being the first time. We both remembered it being the first time, but like it couldn't have been the first time because she does like constantly have this monologue in her head, and she keeps constantly referring back to Oakhart. So it was kind of difficult to tell. But yeah, she meets Oakhart for the first time.
I feel like there may have been a deleted scene where she actually met Oakhart at another point in time, but that it got deleted and we never get to see it. And then the rest of the book wasn't edited so that this would feel like their first meeting.
Snowfur is like being a mom and stuff, and then Bluefur takes her out for a hunt, and then Bluefur tries to chase off some Shadowclan cats, and Snowfur gets hit by a car.
Instance number for.
Yes, so somebody is once again punished for being a mom. She fights with Thistleclaw a little bit over who gets custody of White Kit, and Thistleclaw.
This is never resolved.
It's never resolved, really.
Like, threats are made from Thistleclaw's end, and Bluefur's like, oh, I'm gonna do it anyway internally, and then it's never resolved. Like, he never makes good on that threat, even though it feels like he should.
Yeah. But they have a fight over whether they should attack a kitty pet near the border after Tiger Paw does some damage to it. Let's see. Bluefur rushes back. She has a discussion with Goosefeather, her racist uncle, and she's like, oh, I gotta be the deputy because otherwise Thistleclaw is gonna be a bad guy and he's gonna destroy Thunderclan and lead it into a police state. An undisclosed amount of time later, White Storm is made warrior. Thistleclaw is still consolidating clout. Bluefur is thinking about Oakhart a whole bunch more, even though she still hasn't really met him since that one time.
She has met this man once.
Yeah. Everybody in the clan is always like, hey, you gotta settle down with Thrushpelt, start a life of your own. And Sunstar is like, hey, what's up? It's me, Sunstar. We need to take back Sunning Rocks. And then he takes like an envoy to Riverclan. And on the way, she meets Oakhart for the second time. And Oakhart is like, babe, I can't keep you out of my mind. I can't stop thinking about you, in that way that, he's so irresistible. So they decide to meet the next day at Fourtrees, and it is kind of sweet. And then Bluefur comes back and panics for the next several days and eventually realizes that she is pregante. She is pregnant. So she panics even more because Tawny Spots, the current deputy, is on the way out, and Thistleclaw and Tigerclaw are on the way up. But she knows that she has to step up to the role of clan deputy. So she meets with Oakhart, and he is like, yo, I'd be happy to join Thunderclan and be with the kids. And Bluefur is like, no, because I gotta figure some stuff out. She has a premonition from Starclan. She realizes that she has to give up Misty Kit, Stone Kit, and Moss Kit so she can become a deputy and prevent Thunderclan's slide into cat fascism. She does so, and along the way, Moss Kit dies. Stone Kit and Misty Kit call after her. She pretends that the kits were taken by a fox.
It's an incredibly depressing chapter.
It's so sad, honestly.
This is exceedingly depressing. Bluefur has had a terrible life this entire time.
Sad.
She's constantly dealing with the death of her loved ones. And, the way she processes it is that she takes a long time to process stuff and, figure stuff out. And she never quite gets over it.
And everybody in the clan is like, get over it. What, your mom has been dead for, 2 weeks. Come on.
And it's very clear that she has a different way of processing it than everyone else in the clan, which is fine.
Yeah.
But this keeps happening to her specifically over and over again.
At the point where she finally gets the deputyship, Sunstar goes up to her and he's like, yeah, you had a really hard life. Sorry about that.
This sucks, actually.
It's really sucks. So Bluefur gets the deputyship. She achieves eudaimonia. She's finally happy and she never has problems again. Just kidding. She's eventually crowned Bluestar. She's reunited with her loved ones and also Mumblefoot for some reason, very briefly. And then, years pass, Thunderclan grows and shrinks.
When you only know 8 cats in your life, you gotta get someone else to come in and be the 9th.
That's true. So Thunderclan becomes the state that it was in the beginning of Into the Wild. Bluestar spies Rusty playing on the fence in the woods and realizes to herself that the prophetic fire she was told about so many times was never really her. And that's the end of the book, and it's so freaking depressing.
It's such a depressing book. You go in thinking, oh, cool cats, I like Bluestar. Oh no.
This entire, at the beginning of the book, Goosefeather, the racist prophecy uncle, goes and gives Bluefur this prophecy, and he's like, you are like fire, but be careful, water shall destroy you, and this whole time you're thinking oh yeah, that's right, she's gonna be a great leader. The reason she
gets this prophecy is because she's nearly crushed to death by a burning branch that saves her from a dog that's chasing after her. This man looks at this, having fire save Bluestar, and be like, water's gonna kill you. I'm gonna give you anxiety for the rest of your life when we live on the Riverclan border.
Yeah, it's just like, also it's like really sad because when you think about it, Bluestar's like, she never was the fire. Like this entire time she was convinced that like she had to be the fire, and like honestly her role in the clan, the only reason why she had to be made leader was because she would be the only candidate for leader that wouldn't immediately like run Fireheart out of the forest. Like that was it. She wasn't the fire. Somebody else was the fire. And I was just so sad.
Straight up, like the prophecy isn't even like what it is. Goosefeather is wrong. If you go back to the beginning of the book, that scene is paralleled in how she dies. She is saved from dogs by Fireheart, aka the actual fire.
I didn't notice that. Oh man,
that's
wait,
what
was this book well written?
Huh? I wouldn't give it that much, but that is what's happening. And like you get with all of Goosefeather's prophecies, you get the fact that he's definitely interpreting something, but he's always interpreting the wrong thing.
Yeah.
Like the shoe could very much be interpreted as with the rising hostilities in Thunderclan directed towards Windclan from the frankly unnecessary suspicion of Windclan cats from the squirrel incident.
Yeah.
Which the squirrel was also left there. Like what?
Yeah.
Why would they just leave it there? Anyway, you get the sense that like that could be okay. He interpreted the weird fur markings as Windclan will run over Thunderclan. This kind of happened when Thunderclan went and attacked Windclan. This could very much be this was much more likely should have been interpreted as a sign that if you attack Windclan, it won't go well for you. Especially with the added what's going on with the weather on the day of the attack. The weather's terrible. The weather's like you want to stay inside all day, not go and attack Windclan. And like over and over again, it's like don't do this, don't do this. What Goosefeather is, I don't know if he's being influenced by clan sentiments or if he's like legitimately just thinks this is the best thing to do. But like over and over again, he's interpreting these signs that are probably actually signs because magic exists in this universe.
Yeah.
And he's interpreting them incorrectly.
So sad. It's just, all of it is just so tragic. There is apparently a novella about Goosefeather that probably tries to redeem him to some extent. And I think that might confirm your suspicion about Goosefeather's. He is definitely interpreting the right thing.
But the wrong way.
I kind of liked him in the beginning. Like, I liked the Goosefeather Stormtrail Moonflower drama that was going on. I was like, man, are all medicine cats just, like, secretly queer comedians? Because, like, I freaking love that. It was really nice. It reminded me of Cinderpaw and Cinderheart and Yellowfang. But then, Goosefeather is like, according to this fur, I think that Thunderclan should go commit a war crime. And I was like, oh... I no longer like you. I don't. Yeah. Feather Whisker is my new medicine cat.
Not my medicine cat.
Exactly.
I'm looking through the prologue again, and I was slightly incorrect. It's more she saves Fireheart, but it's still very much this her and this burning branch and dogs.
Absolutely.
And she ends up dying, but And I think the reason that you think Oakhart is mentioned in the prologue.
He is mentioned.
And I think that's why you think this couldn't possibly be the first time she's meeting him. The obligatory heterosexuality in these books is so real and so gosh dang strong. It's ridiculous.
It is.
Like, the rhetoric of, oh, but wouldn't you be so... The rhetoric that you're losing out on something if you do not have kids, only ever repeated to a woman.
It is, like, awful, isn't it?
It's the most cishet thing I have seen in a long time.
Yeah. The book, honestly, the whole, like, themes around motherhood kind of hit me hard a little bit. Personally, like, I haven't seen my mom since December of last year. And I probably won't get to see her until, like, summertime next year. So, like, when it was just really sad to see all the, like, dunking on mom. Like, hey, Bluefur, you gonna have kids yet? Because I was like, well, that's, first of all, the moonflower scene like made me actually cry, and I had to put the book down and call my mom and say like, "Hey, what's going on?" It's me, Spencer.
The moonflower scene was really messed up.
But yeah, like if you have any type of literary savvy, you know that Moonflower is gonna die from like the chapter before the Windclan attack. Like you notice, like, they sure are focusing a lot about the, on Moonflower's scent and how tender and kind she is to being her kid, to her kids.
You also get the fact that like you can tell she's going to die because their father is so distant from them.
Yeah.
Because like
Stormtail,
Stormtail like does not. That's another thing. Stormtail is never like he's slightly mocked for it, but he's never like, "Hey, why are you not taking care of your kids?" While Bluefur later is regularly like, "Hey, why are you not taking care of your sister's kid?"
Adderfang is literally the grand mentor to a cat fascist, and he's a better dad than Stormtail and Pine Star. And like in some of these other books, they do say that like, oh, the tomcat isn't expected to participate very much in like the kit rearing process, but like
that is again
is so BS.
That is some of the most cishet thing I've heard in a long time.
It's awful. Okay, I've searched the PDF. Oakhart, the thing that I was thinking. So, Oakhart's first mention is Crooked Paw pointing him out at a gathering, and then Blue Paw goes to get a look at him. And then later on, she recognizes his pelt, and that's like and that's it.
That's it. That is the entire build-up to...
And the next time he's mentioned is at the next gathering where Oakhart is growling about Thunderclan keeping kitty pet friends. That's it.
That's...
Romance. It's true love.
It is such a mess.
He just lives in her head rent-free.
Nothing about this is engaging in the slightest.
She talks to him twice in a few months, and she's like, dang, I gotta have me some of this.
The implied potential romance between Pine Star and Jake, the kitty pet that Blue Paw meets, like, once. Because Pine Star keeps, like, regularly leaving throughout the books to presumably go and talk to kitty pets or go hang out with kitty pet stuff. The implied romance between Pine Star and Jake is genuinely more engaging than literally anything between Bluefur and Oakhart.
It's compelling. Like, all we hear is Bluefur talk about Oakhart, and like every time she mentions or thinks about Riverclan and Sunning Rocks, which is a lot because this book is basically Sunning Rocks the musical. She's always like, man, I sure hope Oakhart and his brother Crooked Paw aren't there. I don't know if I'd be able to fight them. The warrior code is so on and so forth, and that's like it. They're only ever mentioned. He's mentioned a lot, but for reasons that don't make any sense.
He's mentioned a lot as in I have to, in the kind of thematic sense of, I have to figure out my loyalty to my clan and what that means for me. And that's a fair theme to develop, and I think that's done really well early in the book, and then it's immediately dropped off. Like, that's another thing that doesn't feel like it gets a resolution. Like, she has a lot of loyalty to her clan, but she never resolves the question of why
it deserves that loyalty.
Why a clan deserves that loyalty, why the clan asks for that loyalty in the way that it does, and why the clans can't just get along. Because I think Pine Star leaving kind of closes any way she could have asked that question in her home environment and gotten a decent answer.
It would have been really nice to like have her talk to Pine Star at some point and be like, hey, what does being in a clan mean to you, so that she can understand, I guess, what the wrong and right answers are from a perspective of somebody who's about to leave.
Because she only ever talks to him once, and
and it is like on the way back from the Moonstone, and he has like a lot of he's so world weary. That's like the idea.
Yeah, and I'm pretty sure even at that point, the idea was building in him that he's probably gonna leave, because I'm pretty sure that's what he was talking to Starclan about. And she only gets that perspective. She doesn't get the build up to that perspective from him, because I don't think he wants to talk about it. I think Pine Star had kits with Leopardfoot as a last-ditch attempt to try to attach him to the clan so that he would feel that he was involved and would be willing to die to spend his last life for the clan, and then so he could get into Starclan. And I think that's it. And I think when he realizes that he doesn't have this attack, this goes back into the I think Pine Star is gay theory.
Yeah,
but
I agree with you.
And the compulsory heterosexuality that exists in these books. It's so compact. And Pine Star, she doesn't get all the buildup that came up to that perspective. She has a little bit of those questions herself, but she's only ever told the end point by someone who's very clearly distancing themselves, and not the, okay, how did we get here? How could we do better?
Yeah, like she's, I think, by and large, like most of her experience, I would say within with the format of the clans is coming from either her desire to have a life outside of it via Oakheart, or, you know, within it, the acts of Thistleclaw and Tigerclaw being rewarded by the clan's infrastructure because, you know, they're warrior cats.
Bluefur is a cat that could have changed a lot in the forest if she was given the right opportunity. Yeah. But over and over again, the things happened that reinforced the way the warriors live as the only acceptable way of life.
Yeah, it's really depressing.
Yeah, it's incredibly depressing because her role goes from someone who could genuinely bring about change in how this all functions by someone being genuinely curious about other clans and not having that same burden, like, inherently, and like opinions of other clans that other cats seem to.
Are you projecting a like United Clans endgame too? Because like I'm like thinking that might happen at some point.
I mean, I don't know if that'll necessarily happen, but I do think that like she could have been the catalyst towards a lot more of what we see later in the book, which is the show off your big warriors and be like, we're changing the scent markers here. This is ours now. We will fight over it if we need to, but we don't want to fight over it if we don't have to. That's on you.
Yeah, I really like that, actually. I thought we needed more of that.
Especially since she saw that directly. I think if she was given more of a chance to explore the thoughts that she had when she was an apprentice, and like was first meeting Crooked Paw, and then saw that earlier in, and was able to effectively block Thistleclaw and Tigerclaw and all their stuff.
Absolutely.
She could have, like, there could have been a genuine, things could be better here now sort of mentality in the forest. And I think that would have been crazy interesting. I think this book is severely handicapped by the fact that it's a prequel. Okay, I have one more thought on this. Because it's a prequel, we have to get to the forest as it is when Rusty first is like chilling out, which means that she has to go through all of this being beaten down over and over again. And I would really like to see a version of this book where she's allowed to actually explore who she could have been, should the Erins have not, like, had to have beaten her down over and over again, because they have this such an interesting potential of a character, and then they realize, like, part of the way through, oh no, she's have to make smart. It... She's too good.
We gave her too many brain cells.
She's too clever. She will figure this thing out, and we can't have that happen and still have this be canon. And I would love to see a rewrite of this that's like relatively the same. Obviously, the prequel prelude wouldn't be, but like the start, and then stuff actually starts changing, and she's maybe allowed to have something change, like when she's an apprentice, and then like that blooms into bigger changes.
A little bit of agency.
And I think that'd be really interesting.
Just one iota of Bluefur having agency, I feel. Would be really
I think
nice.
Bluestar deserves better than what she got.
Absolutely. All right, that's going to be all the time that we have for this week. But remember, each interview last 2 episodes, so be sure to come on back so that you can listen into the fun rest of the discussion, which I gotta warn you guys, takes a turn towards the botany. That's right, we're going to be talking about trees and lichens and stuff. It's so cool. I'm really excited. In the meantime, thank you so much for listening to Fourtrees, our Warrior Cats community podcast. I've been your host, Spencer Grant. I would like to thank our guest, Silverleaf, for joining us for the last little while. You have been an absolute pleasure to have. Fourtrees is recorded in front of a live studio audience at Druids Hollow Studios here in Bristol. Our theme was composed and performed by Spencer Chopin-Grant and mixed by Alex Turner. Our graphics and 3D assets were designed by Spencer Diablo Grant, and our editor is Spencer Pagliacci Granta. The Warrior Cats series is written by Erin Hunter and distributed by HarperCollins. Please support the official release. You can find us at the web at spencergrant.co.uk/Fourtrees or at anchor.fm/Fourtrees, or you can find our YouTube uploads with auto-generated subtitles and audio visualizations on my YouTube channel, Spencer Grant. And again, our podcast is available and will continue to be available on Spotify, Stitcher, Apple Music, and generally wherever you get your podcasts. I have been Spencer, you have been beautiful, and I love you so much. And bye!